everybody, and welcome to another great episode of Anae's Food Show. I hope you're enjoying the shows as much as I have fun making them for you. Today on our show, I'm going to be working on a dish which is very traditional in the sense that almost every household makes this dish in one form or another, and that is jollof rice. Now you wonder, why do I have to do jollof rice on the show? Because I try to do things that are unusual. Well, as we know, there is the war of who makes the best jollof rice. Does the best jollof rice come from Cameroon, Ghana, or Nigeria? I'm about to debunk that. We know that the best jollof rice comes from Cameroon. And I'll say from Bamenda in particular, because when I grew up, I ate the best jollof rice. So we're not looking at fried rice. You know, most often when you go to an event and you have jollof rice, you get a mix between fried rice or fries mixed with stew and some, you know, it's digressed from what jollof rice used to be. So what I want to do today on the show is going back to the traditional way that I grew up seeing jollof rice being cooked and how I cook jollof rice, because to me that way of making jollof rice is the best jollof rice, better than jollof rice from Nigeria, better than jollof rice from Ghana, and Cameroon has the best jollof rice hands down. And we're going to do that on the show today. So don't go very far, stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Anae's Food Show, your favorite food and lifestyle show. The assurance for your well-being.
Welcome back on the show. Well, to get our very sweet jollof rice ready, it is sweet not because there's like sugar in it, but it just gives you that nostalgia, that nostalgic feeling of home, makes you happy, and that's why I'm calling it very sweet jollof rice. To get that started, I will add about a quarter cup of oil. I already had the pan heating up, so when I put my oil in, it's hot already on contact. Then I'll go ahead. I have about 1 kilo of beef cut into cubes, little tiny cubes. You know, nowadays to do jollof rice, we just boil the meat separately and then mix everything in. This one, we're going to cook everything in. So just get the meat in. Nice sizzle. So it will brown the meat. We'll brown the meat and also sort of give it a little bit of a steam. I'm using a cut of meat that doesn't have bones in it, and particularly like a muscle cut, so it's absolutely no bones. So it cooks soft, it cooks fast. We'll prepare 1 medium onion or 1 large onion or however for this. And we'll just cut it chopped. We chop it up, not sliced, just chopped. And these red onions are very pungent and usually get me in the eye. So there we have my onions chopped without me shedding a tear. That I deserve a round of applause. There you go. Okay. Now I've got my onions chopped. Coming back, you see the juices of the meat are coming out. So we'll just let it cook a little bit in its juices, and then we'll start building the flavors of this dish. And trust me, it's going to be good. Besides our onions, we're going to also add about 6 cloves of garlic. And I'm going to just chop our garlic. I prefer honestly to chop by hand than to put it in a blender or grind it on a stone. Okay, I can begin to hear my meats. Okay, so the liquid is really drying off, which is good. And we'll just let that brown, sort of like frying the meat a little bit. So first we'll add the onions. Oh, finally get them in the pot so the juices stop interfering with my eyes. Stir that. See, at this point, we've already cooked it in such a way that the juices are dry and begin to, you know, the meat is almost like frying. At this point, we start adding the flavors and it will just bond onto the meat. And so when we cook it, in this case now, it's going to really be, the meat's going to be very tasty. Okay, we add our garlic. Stir that up very well. And now it continues to saute. Then we start putting in our flavors. I'm going to start off with black pepper. Black pepper, some people prefer white pepper. Personally, I prefer black pepper. However, if it is your preference for black pepper, it is for white pepper, it is also good. So I put about, this is about a teaspoonful. So it's a pinch, but it's about a teaspoonful. And then there's this spice we call rice spice or aneve. It's also great in here. So we're putting in about a teaspoonful of it in this dish. Thyme. With thyme, just be careful to take off this twigs or little, it's just from harvesting the thyme, and when it's harvested, it's rubbed so that the leaves come up. But in most cases, it's not sieved before it's packaged for the market. So we'll just take those aside, and then we'll just get a healthy pinch, which is about 1 teaspoon. See, our onions are sauteing nicely. And then at this stage also we'll add salt. So add about 4 teaspoons of salt because we have this is about 2 teaspoons so far. But we have the rice that's going to come in also, and we have all the other ingredients, tomatoes, so they're all going to absorb salt. And when you under-salt rice like this, it's hard to really get it back on track. And so we'll just let that fry for a little bit, and when we get back, we'll get some water in, bring it up to a boil, and then we'll continue.
Anna's Food Show, your favorite food and lifestyle show. The assurance for your well-being.
Okay, welcome back. We see that our meat has already browned very well. The onions are really well cooked. And so we're going to add water to this now. Before we add the water, we're going to add our tomatoes. Tomatoes. So I'm using about 10 tomatoes and I'm chopping them up. I'm not putting it in a blender. I'll just chop it up because the chopped up tomatoes also give a different kind of texture and a different kind of dimension to the dish. Let me have this. Now, it's like almost making tomato stew. But what we'll find is that the acid from the tomatoes are actually going to reduce the hardness of the meat. It's going to help the meat cook better because the acid breaks down the protein, which is what we want. I have about 3 cups of parboiled rice, and so with that I'm going to add 6 cups of water to start with. And so it's about 2 cups of water. Actually, it's more about 2.5 cups of water to 1 cup of rice. So I'm going to start off by adding 6 cups of water so that we get the meat and the tomatoes bonding and cooking and simmering together. And we'll just put a lid on and bring it to a boil. And while that is coming up to a boil, I'll just prepare the rest of our ingredients here. I've got green beans. We're going to put some green beans in there. And for these, you can use as much or as little as you choose. Really, it's a personal preference. You can just take off the ends like this. This is a fun way to get kids active in the kitchen. Here it is. We have our green beans all cleaned up, and we'll just, let me take off the tomatoes. Just slice it down. Now, I'm not making it too, I've seen people really take time and painstakingly cut one at a time. If you have time and you love to do it, more power to you. You can do that. This, I'm just going to I'm just cutting them, not too small and not too large either. And I just bunch it together and cut them together. It's just a matter of knowing how you're cutting your beans. So at the end there, I just, there we go. Our beans are all cut up. And I'll just put them back in the bowl where our tomatoes came from. There. The other vegetable we're adding to it is carrots. I already have some cut up, but what I'll do is, it's just about 2 large carrots. You take the carrot and you cut it in half. You cut it first in half, then cut it diagonally, and then just cut some strips. It just makes for easier kitchen work. And then you just cut into cubes like so. So we've got our vegetables ready. And one last one that I still have is basil, conmanju. See, if you notice, I'm not putting every green spice. I know we have a tendency when we're making soup, stew, we put conmanju, parsley, celery. Each of those spices have their own identity and they have their own unique flavor. So sometimes when you combine them all, one overshadows the other. For instance, the word we use for celery, those leaves, if you use too much, you develop a bitter taste to it. So it becomes so strong and overpowering that it shadows even the parsley. Parsley is a very delicate flavor, and you can use it for something that you're just going to cook very lightly, or you can actually just wash it well and use it fresh. So I'm going to use basil because basil actually goes well in stews. It goes well with rice. It goes well with tomatoes. It goes well with meat. So it's a little bit of a stronger edge, but not as strong as celery, and it is not as delicate as parsley. So that's why I'm using it on its own. Okay, so when we come back, we'll just check in on our pot. It's beginning to boil already. We'll just check in on it a little bit, check on our meat and texture. So when we come back, then we'll be ready to add our rice and we'll be ready to move on. Thank you. Stay tuned.
Anna's Food Show, your favorite food and lifestyle show. The assurance for your well-being.
We're about to check on our pan, and the sauce part of this dish is already boiling and rolling well. So our tomatoes are already really cooked, and the longer you let it cook, the acidity of the tomatoes goes down, and it's helping the beef to also soften up a little bit. So we're going to just taste this for salt and then balance it off a little bit before we add our rice to it. Excellent. I'm still just going to add a little bit more salt. Why? Because, like I said earlier, we have the rice. There we go, about a teaspoon. And when you are making jollof rice like this, it is good to have the salt just surpass a little bit. So when you taste it, it is as though salt don't pass. It's okay. When you put the rice in, it will balance and everything will be just fine. Now that's better. So I have our rice already washed, and I'm using the UNVDA parboiled rice, burned up rice. There's about 3 cups of the dry rice, and I just washed it out with cold water. And I'm just going to add that right in. On the final leg of it, rice doesn't take that long to cook, so I'm going to add my vegetables right away, as well as my green beans, my carrots and green beans. Now, somebody's going to have a fit that I'm adding this now. Yes, because rice doesn't take that long to cook. And the other thing is that carrots and green beans do have their own flavor. And when you add it now, it cooks with the rice, with everything, so it gives a total blended flavor and a uniqueness in it. Normally, if you boil or parboil the rice, the carrots separately and the green beans separately, and then you mix it in, it may actually, you don't really get the full experience of the flavor. And I'm going to also throw conmanju in right now and blend it all in. And then we'll cover it up and let it simmer. And when we come back, I'll put my earring back on, and when we come back, I'll introduce you to a lady who is doing some amazing work in our community, within the Muslim community, and also within the Christian community. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Anna's Food Show, your favorite food and lifestyle show. The assurance for your well-being.
Welcome back. And pot is doing just fine. It's boiling, and our rice is absorbing the water and getting cooked. Now, before we continue, I've invited on the show Madam Laura. She's going to join us. She is a powerful lady. She looks young, but she is a powerhouse. And she currently manages 2 NGOs, 2 non-governmental organizations. So you have to manage one is one thing, but 2. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Please, can you just tell our audience who you are and the organizations that you manage?
Thank you. I'm Jinko Laura, a consultant with the REWAC, Refugee Welfare Association Cameroon, and MAPCAM, Muslim Association for Underprivileged in Cameroon. I write and execute projects for organizations and businesses. So currently, I'm executing and implementing 2 projects for REWAC and a sub-project for MAPCAM. MAPCAM and REWAC share the same office, situated at City Chemist Roundabout, opposite City Chemist Pharmacy, Express Union Building.
Okay. Thank you very much. So you work with the Muslim community as well as the non-Muslim community. So with the Muslim community, what exactly do you do? How do you work with them? How do you reach out to them?
Okay, what MAPCAM is doing in the Muslim community, they work with the destitute, Muslim widows. They encourage adult vocational training.
Okay.
Yes, they create awareness in the area of health education, family planning, and then they also encourage formal education apart from the Quranic education in the Muslim community.
Okay, okay. So what are some of the extreme type of cases that you've had to handle within that community?
Some of the extreme cases we've had to handle with the Muslim community is breaking through the culture.
Okay.
Yes, it's challenging because you need to change their mentalities on so many things before you can penetrate the community to work with them.
Okay.
Yes.
How easy or difficult is that to do, and what have been some of the success stories you've had?
Easy, since we have to engage the community, sensitize them about the importance of inclusion, working together. That has been, it made the work easier for us. Challenging, it's a culture and it's a historic so really breaking through. It's not that easy. But I think with a lot of sensitization that we have been doing in the communities, we have been able to attain a level of success, and we are still doing that.
Excellent. And the non-Muslim community, how do I word this? The non-Muslim community, how do they support you in your outreach into the Muslim community, especially to bring them into inclusion?
When we are talking about inclusion, we preach non-discrimination. So the first thing we want to tell them is every human being is equal. So when we have that mentality that we are equal, we don't discriminate. It is easy to merge the two communities and working relation is good.
Okay, excellent. And then the other organization that you handle or you manage, what are the main activities of that association?
Refugee Welfare Association Cameroon, like I said, the REWAC acronym. We defend, promote, and protect the rights of vulnerable groups of persons like refugees, asylum seekers, internally displaced persons. It offers services like advocacy, psychosocial support, education and training, humanitarian assistance, and livelihoods. So really, somebody listening to this could probably wonder if we actually do have cases of refugees in the Northwest region, especially in Bamenda, which is where you're situated. So how do you answer to that? In Bamenda, when we talk of refugees, it embodies refugees, asylum seekers, internally displaced persons, retainees. It's a global term that defines this subset of persons. And since we are not only in Bamenda, we cover in the southwest. Yes, we cover in other regions. But presently in Bamenda, we actually get involved with internally displaced persons.
That was what I was somewhat driving at, because for me, when I hear refugee, I think of somebody coming out of another country seeking refuge in your own country. And so with the crisis we've had, I'm sure we must have some really, really challenging cases for internally displaced persons. And so how do you reach out to those people? What do you do for them? You're doing, and may God continue to give you the blessing, the grace, the power, and everything that you need to carry out this project, because it is a much needed project. And if you have more questions, just get to us and we'll connect you directly to her with whatever you need, whatever questions that you have. We'll connect you directly with Madame Laura and you'll get your questions answered. In a little while, we'll just come back and taste our rice. So just don't move from where you are.
Anna's Food Show, your favorite food and lifestyle show. The assurance for your well-being.
Welcome back to the show. Our pot of jollof rice is just about ready. I'm about to unveil it, and ooh, it looks good. It looks very red, very full. And our guest is about to try this rice and tell us what she thinks of I call it very sweet jollof rice. I hope you would appreciate this very sweet jollof rice. So somebody would say, oh, it's a little bit chunky. I cut the vegetables a little bit larger than, normal. Normal in the sense of what has become a new normal, where people cut it really small. Because I was cooking it all together, I actually cut it a little bit larger so it doesn't fall apart in the process of cooking. So, my dear Laura, if you would take a fork and just tell our audience what you think of this jollof rice. We would appreciate it.
Thank you. Wow, it looks so delicious, so good. Wow. Let me taste and then I tell you.
Exactly. So a little bit on the hot side.
It's good. I love the taste. I love it's not too dry. It's just moist and moist enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever traveled to Ghana or Nigeria?
Yes.
Have you tried the jollof rice from Nigeria and Ghana?
I've tried from Ghana.
How would you compare our sweet jollof rice to that from Ghana? Honestly.
Sweet jollof rice is the best. Honestly speaking, and we have good food in Cameroon.
Yes.
Yes. I suffered in Ghana because of food. Yes.
Okay.
I had serious issues with food. I think for the 3 months I was there, I lived on rice and indomie.
Oh, you really had some issues.
Because the food there, I don't know, I tried, but
it was just different food.
Yes, it's strange seeing people preparing pepper like that and it's sauce or something.
Okay.
Yes. They just eat with banku, something like that. Yes.
Okay.
Like, it was difficult, so I had to go with rice and indomie for 3 months.
Whew. Ashia. Okay, welcome back to Cameroon.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for being on the show. It was a pleasure having you on, and I hope we'll get to hear more about your projects in the future.
Sure, it's a privilege, and I'm so excited because those who know me know I love food. I love the kitchen, so I like trying new things. Okay. And I think this is something new today. I've learned, and I'm going to try this method. Using ndop rice.
Okay. UMVDA parboiled rice.
So, and
so
my next rice I'll be using this one.
Excellent. And a lot of people stay away from preparing jollof rice with ndop rice because they feel that it's going to be too sticky. But you can rest assured you can use their parboiled rice and get very good jollof rice. Well, thank you so much for being a great audience today. And I hope that you've been able to capture something in this whole process of jollof rice making that you can actually do at home with your kids, not just watch on the show. Please, if you have any questions for us, feel free to write to us at amundi@gmail.com, Anae's Food Show on Facebook, Anae's Food Show on Instagram and YouTube. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for our next show and bye.